Well, I hope you guys are enjoying your day so far. Welcome into the 15-minute weather. It's been a little while. I want to jump in and focus in on the first 12 hours. If you're just catching this, I'll give you a quick forecast, and then we'll take that deeper dive approach, not only with the snow that we're going to get potentially this afternoon and this evening. I'll take all the ins and outs there. Plus, we'll take a look at long range and when spring hits. But first, here's your first forecast here for the next 12 hours. Now, if you got to get out there during the morning hours, 8 to 17 degrees. By the time we get to the afternoon, it will warm up to 18, 17. You could see by 4, 6 p.m., we're going to be seeing snow move in. If you want to fully avoid all of the snow, you need to get out before 3. This is not going to be major, and it's not going to be like anything that we had seen. So you're looking at snow totals here from 6 to 10 o'clock. This is where we're going to be adding up the snow. I bet you the roads are probably, if I had to pick 3 hours where I said, it's probably going to be dicey, I would say 6 to 9. And maybe 10. Maybe if I had to pick 4 hours, I would just say these 6 to 10 o'clock. And then by the time we get to midnight, there'll be some lingering icy spots. But overall, embedded in here, 1 to 2 inches of snow. Some people, mainly northeast of the metro, Forest Lake, Osceola, so that's still northeast, Pine City, Hinckley, Brainerd, Mille Lacs, that will be the better chance to actually pick up 3 inches. That'd be the highest that I see would be 2 or 3. Now, if you're southwest metro, Carver County, Scott County, areas like that, you're probably going to see a little bit less lighter totals down there. Regardless, it's been a cold day, and let's talk about the interesting snow depth. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, popped up to 8, and now we're waiting today. Now, we've had very cold air, but whenever you go from 0 up to 8 like this, that snowpack is not, it doesn't have as much water. Now, in March, there's a lot of water content in this snow, right? But as it crashes, let's say that it was 32 degrees and sunny every day. It wasn't actually above freezing, okay? That snowpack would turn into 3 inches of snow just naturally because it has to compact. So what I'm trying to say is when it's a new snow depth, let's say it was 8 and then we went up to like 12, or it was like 4 and we went up to 8. That would take longer to melt, because that has compacted through months and months and months. That really thick stuff, that last inch or 2, takes a while to get out. So what I'm saying is this is vulnerable to quick melt-off. And we are going to see a quick melt-off as we go into the next 3 to 4 days. So just get ready for that. And here's what it looks like here. If you haven't heard, areas in northeast Wisconsin, Wausau, have picked up anywhere from 30 to 35 inches of snow. In fact, Wausau, Wisconsin, this area over here I'll draw it over here, had no snow on the ground. Now, they don't have a pure total here, but this spot here over in northeast Wisconsin, we're talking 3 feet of snow, and not necessarily lake effect. There was lake enhancement, though, out towards Green Bay, and that is why they had a lot of snow. But regardless, an incredible snow depth out of nowhere. Now, if you don't know, areas up on the UP have had tons and tons of snow. You can see it up here. There you go. Lots of snow coming in. And as we go into Minnesota, let me get out of here. You can see Minnesota. This is where we have still some snow. Now, this snow depth is really going to mess with us here, because this, if you can melt it, this area down here, whoever melts the snow first is really going to get the warm faster. So you see how northern Iowa, there's not a lot here, there's not a lot here, Ortonville. I'm focused around this area because if you could melt off 2 or 3 inches of snow quick, I'm going to show you Friday. Friday could be 60 or 70 or 80 degrees. In fact, whoever can melt the snow fastest, I will call for all record breaking. I think all of this breaks records on Friday. This is going to be record breaking activity. Okay, it's going to be very warm if you can melt the snow. I just have this doubt that we're going to be able to melt 8 inches of snow in 3 days, which is a bummer, because if we didn't have any snow on the ground, I'm going to show you here in a little bit, we would be in the 70s or 80 degrees. So back to the snow, then we'll talk about the warmth. Look at Duluth playing massive catch up here. 75 inches on average. Duluth is a different animal up there. Now, if I showed you North Shore, South Shore, their averages for snow are much higher. So far, they've seen 72.6 inches of snow. Now, St. Cloud, the mythical question that everybody always wants to know, 39.8 is their average. We average more. Yes, we average more than St. Cloud, and Madison, Wisconsin averages more than Minneapolis. There's just this area where the Twin Cities doesn't see as much snow as places in Wisconsin. And I think there is a reason for it. There hasn't been a lot of research done from it, but the reason that I believe is that Colorado lows typically find their way between Twin Cities and Chicago, somewhere in that zone. And that's La Crosse, that's Madison, that's Minneapolis. But I do not believe that St. Cloud gets hit by as many Colorado lows. And if you look even at this last system, the Twin Cities saw a heck of a lot more than St. Cloud did. And again, that was a Colorado low. Now, Duluth gets lake effect snow. Regardless, even if we don't get another drop of snow this year, it's going to come in average. And this year in general was such an average winter. And when I say average, that's still cold. But from snowpack, it was average. Snow, it was average. Temperature-wise, December and January both were below average. And then February was above average. And here in March, we're slightly above average. So that's 2 and 2. 2 below, 2 above, average, right? You're never going to just have average temperatures. You're either going to go above, below, that would be average. And same with our snow totals, right? It's literally like you're 10 inches behind and then boom, 10 inches. And that's just how it is. And you can see recently, obviously February, very, very, very warm. And then as we ended February, we kind of went back and forth. It's been fairly seasonal when you look at the past 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Now, coming off that record stretch in February, that was crazy warm. But this fluctuation has really allowed our temperature and our snowpack our temperature has forced the snow into our forecast. It just has. When you're going up and down and up and down, it does that. Headlines, frigid start to Tuesday, 1 to 3 inches of snow moving in late day. Spring begins on Friday. So again, we're looking at a couple of inches of snow here today. We talked about it at the beginning. Most of us will see 1 to 2. Some of us will see 2.5, 3, and I'll show you who has the better chance of that. Temperatures out there, well, they've been warming. Now, I can actually zoom out here and show you what this actually looks like. So, here you go. Let's see. So this is the clipper here. Now what clippers do, that's my terrible low. There you go, there's an L. That's an L, all right? Now, what this thing does is it drapes this warm front, okay? And this actually pumps all this moisture in warm air on top of all this cold air. So you can see it's still cooling out here if you look at the 24-hour temperature change. So the low pressure center is grabbing this warmth. Now this is eventually going to become serious warm air for us. When we get to Friday, Saturday, this is what we're going to be talking about. But when you go into a transition, we talked about it a little bit ago, when you go up and down, what happens? Well, the warm air lifts on top of the cold air, and then it precipitates out ahead of it. And you could see that from this morning, and we'll show you that. Now, the temperatures will be warming, right? They're going to be warming up as we go into the overnight hours. So it's not, again, this is during the event. Notice how temperatures keep warming through tomorrow morning. That is why it's snowing. Temperatures keep climbing. So we've got the weather impact alert. We'll go into a deeper dive here on this. 3 p.m. today until midnight on Wednesday. Light snow during the commute here. We're going to see those impacts. And then again, use caution if you're going to be out there traveling. If you want to fully avoid this situation here tonight, leave at 2 or 3, depending on how far you have to go, assuming it's less than an hour. You're going to be totally fine. 4 to 5, I think the snow will come in, and then we'll start to see it brush. Now, this is a look at radar here. You could see the snow out in western parts of Minnesota already here by late morning. So this is going to be kind of the early afternoon. And if I just time this out for you here, let's just separate this. So you can see this morning, this would be, again, more to the noon hour. Here is noon to 2 o'clock. So Alexandria, Bemidji, Brainerd, over towards Marshall, Montevideo. That area is more 2 to 2 o'clock. Here it's more 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and then out here towards Eau Claire, Menominee, I don't really think you're going to see the snow until 7 o'clock. So again, if you're watching right now in Hayward, Eau Claire, even East Metro, you're probably not going to have a bad commute. This is going to be, I would circle, let me just show you who has the chance for more of a slick commute. So you can see this area right, well, that was a terrible circle. Let's see. Oh my gosh. No, that didn't work. I quit. All right, so there. That's where we're going to see the snow here as we go later on. So we're going to track this. Now, what do I like about this setup? You see how it's the whole state of North and South Dakota? So what are our odds here in Minnesota for snow? 100%, right? You can talk about high percentages when you're dealing with clippers. It's very different than a Colorado low because it's more of this blanket type forecast. So you can see it coming in here. This is what I call perpendicular snow, right? So if you think about parallel snow, so let's say you turn this and the snow is like this, right? So this is what the snow looks like, except it's this way. It's perpendicular snow. Parallel snow, let's say you took this and turned it like this. That is where you get higher volatility and higher uncertainty. When you have perpendicular snow, that means it literally you can look, just use 94 as your parallel. If it's parallel to 94, it's working this direction, it can miss you, higher uncertainty. When you make it perpendicular, it hits everybody. The percentages go higher, okay, and the totals go lower. So two things happen when you're talking about perpendicular to parallel snow. Parallel snow is kind of like training thunderstorms. That's what Colorado lows do. They're an area, and then it just goes along the same area. It doesn't move north, doesn't move south. It just keeps hitting the same area. That's why Colorado lows are so dangerous to forecast. Why are these not as dangerous? Because they come in perpendicular. They hit you for a shorter amount of time, but they hit everybody about the same. That is why it's easier. Understand uncertainty and how snowstorms are different is very key. So again, this will be coming into St. Cloud. You can see this at 2 o'clock. As we move on here to around, skipped a little. You can see St. Cloud, 3:20. By the time we get to areas around the Twin Cities, we're at 5. Here comes that snow, 6:10. And then areas down towards Rochester, Brainerd coming up there as well. And then as we go into areas around western Wisconsin, we could still see a little bit of that light snow into the overnight hours. But I think through the tomorrow morning, we'll probably continue to see. I hope that the roads are decently clear. Overall, that's definitely my hope. Let's take a look at some totals here for everybody. Here's what it looks like right now. I know that it says 2 everywhere. We talked about a blanket, but models have indicated that it will be slightly heavier in Grand Rapids, Thief River Falls, and Brainerd and Duluth. So again, you can see this area up here. That's where we're going to be dealing with a little bit of light snow. La Crosse, Menominee, Twin Cities, Brainerd, and Duluth. Again, so we will be dealing with some of this. Better chances in the Northeast Metro. A little bit lower chances here if you're in Marshall, Mankato, Wilmer, Jackson, Alexandria. I just think it's going to be a little lower. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Southwest Metro sees a little bit lower totals this time around. Let's take a look at all the models. The models stacked up in here, 1.1, 1.7, 2.3, 2.3. This is why I like perpendicular snows, or a lot of the times it's clippers. Not always. Most of the time clippers are those perpendicular type snows. Is because the totals typically come together. Higher away these are apart, the higher the uncertainty, the more together they are, the higher the certainty. And right now the certainty is 1 inch to 2 inches. Okay, an outlier might be 0.7 or 2.7. But that's still within the confines of 1 to 3, or about 1 to 3. So you feel pretty confident on that. Precipitation, today's your real chance. Once you get to the Friday, Saturday, Sunday forecast and Monday, now we're not going to be dealing with precipitation. This is it. Got to make it through it. Let's talk about temps. Temps start to fly, but we talked about at the beginning of this, snow depth is going to be an issue. So Wednesday will start melting. But notice how the warmth is kind of around us. Watch it coming on Thursday. It's in place. We are in the warm air mass. But fresh snow is jacking with the model, so we'll have to really see how warm we get. Friday's going to be a very interesting day. It wants to go 70s. We don't know where to go. We're going 50 right now, but it could go higher over the next 7 days. So 24 degrees here today. Second half of the day, watch out. We got the impact alert. Melting on Wednesday at 38 degrees. 45 on Thursday, Friday 50, 54 on Saturday, 47 on Sunday. So we'll see temperatures over the weekend start off very, very warm, like Friday, Saturday, of course, first day of spring. 9 o'clock in the morning on Friday, spring officially begins. Astronomical spring, so that's the real deal one. So this weekend, you can say it's spring. It's actually spring. That's got to be some hope. And then next week we will see a slight cool down as we go into Monday. Thanks for joining us here. Have a good one.